BRB UK. Worse teeth, better accents.
Hello, and indeed ahoy hoy. Welcome to episode BRB. Why am I trying to do numbers using letters? Clearly, Christmas turkey fog is still upon me. It's episode 523. This is BRB UK. I've been doing this for over 500 episodes, and I still can't get this bit right. What is wrong with me? I'm going to introduce my two hosts, so I stop speaking. One of them is Coleman. How are you doing?
Hi. Doing all right, actually.
And the other one is Tim. How are you doing?
Okay.
Great, thanks
Yeah.
for that.
Giving
Tim.
me a lot to work
Brilliant.
with there.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good.
Thanks for that.
Yeah, fine.
Great. Okay. Fantastic. Well, good. I'm glad we all had that thrilling conversation. This is the bit where we pretend that we've just had Christmas. Did you have a good Christmas?
Oh, all
Yes,
that
I got
turkey
to see my
that
dad.
I didn't have.
Lots of video games on my big commute to Portsmouth and then Gosport.
My favourite thing was how King Charles projectile vomited in the middle of the King's speech after having 3 too many sprouts. That was my favourite bit.
That was good. I forgot it's going to be a King speech this year, actually. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it's
a good
King's
point.
speech.
Oh, yeah.
I
Was
just
it?
a bit
Sorry,
me
was a
secretly
King's
hoping it's going to
speech.
be like it's. Yes, there's going to be like like how a lot of people reaction videos on YouTube are very exciting. They're going to strap him down in front like Clockwork Orange style in front of Netflix, just
Watching
make
The
him
Crown.
it's going to be incredible.
One of my secret kind of behind the scenes, the show this year was it wasn't looking good for old Liz. And we may have alluded to a couple of jokes. And then as I was editing, she unfortunately popped her clogs. So I had to very quickly hatchet job, just remove the first 5 minutes of the show.
Just want to make it slightly clear
Professionalism.
that it wasn't Coleman's editing was not responsible for the death of the Queen. Just want to get that out there in case any nasty internet
No,
rumors.
she listened to one of your monologues, Tim, and that pushed her over the edge. She couldn't hear about menus for a minute longer. Screw this, I'm off. See you later.
Don't make light on the Queen passing away. We all know it was Liz Truss that did it. She curtsied
Yes.
at her and that
Liz.
was it.
I mean,
Yeah.
it was a bad curtsy, to be fair.
Yeah.
That was the least of Liz Truss's problems. But anyway.
I forget she was Prime Minister for 5 seconds.
So
Yeah,
did
exactly.
most of the world.
But seriously, her names are going to become so well known as an answer to so many pub quiz questions in about 30 years from now. It's going to be incredible.
My biggest problem is that I really wanted Boris Johnson to go down as the worst prime minister in history, and within like 10 minutes afterwards, that was already not the case.
So, this is an episode where is coming out
Yes,
just
it is,
before
correct.
New Year's. It's one of the filler episodes we do. We record a couple of episodes while we're away on our break.
Happy New Year.
We like to take a well-deserved month off at the end of the year, and this is in one of those weeks. So, as is the style of we like to do of the last few years, is we like to talk about the games, the ones to watch, as I've dubbed it, but the games we're looking forward to in 2023.
I would like to issue a correction.
Go on then.
Right?
Mine are not necessarily, not all of mine are ones that, okay, I've taken the ones to watch quite literally, as in I think they could possibly explode in a bad way. So that's how I think they're going to be ones that are going to be
Ones to keep an eye
discussion-worthy is how
on.
I've
Keep a
interpreted it.
careful eye on.
Yes,
Make sure they don't go wrong.
exactly.
What usually happens is we pick 3 games that we're looking forward to, and then in the following year, the following year we talk about them either not coming out, or being a bit of a letdown, or being amazing. Tim always seems to get solid picks, and we got to change that this year.
I think Dan's just hedging his bets this year. Oh no, they might be amazing. They might also be terrible things that set on fire. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, but they're going to be entertaining in their own way. I think 2 of them are in danger of going a bit sideways for different reasons.
You've been recycling your picks, Dan, so I think you should go first.
Yes.
All right. I'm
Environmentally responsible.
Greta Thunberging my way to victory. So first up is Forspoken. Now, I think this is a game which stylistically has it sounds like it could be great.
Forspoken.
However, it has spent Forspoken. So, but it seems that Forspoke. What?
Ken with 4 spokes.
Yes.
4 spoke Ken.
4 candles.
Thanks, Tim.
Yeah.
For Forspoke Ken.
Forspoken Ken.
That cycling mad lad. Have you seen Ken? He's only got 4 spokes on his bike. Oh, crazy chap. What will he think of next? Or anyway, 4-spoke Ken. So this is the open world action RPG, and I think it looks really slick, and it looks like it could be a really visually satisfying game. However, there has been a demo out around the time of Video Games Awards, which people are very divided on. So I don't quite know if this is a game that's it's been in development for so long that the world's moved on around it or not. But I think it's going to be interesting to see how it turns out.
I'm going to go play it once we finish recording.
Yeah, likewise, I'm going to play it.
I'm really looking forward to this game, and I have been since because they announced this alongside the PlayStation 5. And I will say, I like the premise, I like the acting, I like the setting, I like the look of the game, and I think it could be really cool. However, I will admit, this has big launch day game vibes to it. This feels like it should have come out with the PS5, but I am still looking forward to it.
Looks like it could have been a tech demo.
I wouldn't say that.
I think that's a bit harsh. Yeah, that's a bit harsh.
No, as
in the same way,
PC
as in
well.
something to show
Ratchet
off
and
the
Clank.
thing that the new console can do, basically.
Yeah. I mean, we spoke about Ratchet and Clank. I think that was in one of your games of the year last year, Tim. And that, I played through that game myself. That was a really, really good game. However, I will admit that felt like it should have come out with the console. And Forspoken has that same kind of energy to me. It feels like it could be a great game, but it should have come out with the console.
But
it's there
that's
to show
kind
off
of
the
what I meant by
visuals
tech
and
demo. I didn't
stuff.
mean necessarily it's
I
just
see
a
what
tech
you mean
demo.
now.
I meant it's a demonstration of the technology.
To show off the power, like when the DS came out and all the games included the microphone and the touchscreen and everything, because they had to show off what the DS could do.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
And the 3DS and sort of things. Yeah.
The next one is Forza Motorsport, and I'm genuinely properly looking forward to this. It's been a little while since
It's been a while.
The less arcadey flavour of Forza Motorsport has been out there. Obviously, we've had Forza Horizon 4, Forza Horizon 5, in between Forza Motorsport 7 and whatever this next one's going to be. But I think where it shines is when it's a real kind of love letter to racing game fans. And compared to Gran Turismo, which to me feels very clinical and a bit too sterile, I always enjoy. I always kind of enjoy what Forza brings to the table. And I think one of the things they've been making some noise about, and they've been pretty good with, is kind of really baking in some quite cool community kind of support stuff in there as well, really kind of helping you race with your mates and stuff like that. So I from what I've heard, there's going to be a large selection of real world tracks, cars. I know they've been kind of really doubling down on attention to detail with a number of the vehicles that are going to be in the game. And it's I quite like I know it's not really full on sim Forza Motorsport, but it seems to be I slightly prefer track racing to open world racing.
It's fair to say that this is your favourite racing game, no? I think that's a fair way of putting it.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I have a question though, Dan. Do you think there's a chance they've delayed it till this point? And you alluded to this a bit with what you were saying about what name it will be called. But do you think they'll just call this Forza Motorsport and then this will be the platform for Forza Motorsport for the rest of the generation, and they'll just add content to it?
Yeah, so this kind of brings me on to my ones to watch concern here, is I've got a sneaking suspicion they're going to try and turn it into a live game.
Okay.
Rather than just kind of, here is a racing game with a complete set of tracks. Yeah. I think there's going to be a lot more drip feeding of content, and I think there's going to be like full-on proper season pass madness with this as well.
I think that'll work well, though, I think.
It depends what their structure for it is. And I mean, the problem is there's in a racing game, with any microtransactions, it could be viewed as pay to win. You can get an advantage through being able to upgrade your cars. But I mean, generally speaking, Forza's pretty generous in the upgrades it throws at you. I mean, I
can see a lot of cars being behind paywalls.
I think this is going to be
individual cars, maybe tracks.
Yeah, they do that
generally
anyway.
Just cars.
The one thing I do hope, though, is that the livery editor is given a bit of an overhaul, because, man alive, it is tedious trying to make things out of, seriously, a couple of years ago, it literally took me like 3 days to make the Big Red Barrel logo because it was so faffy, having to make it out of bloody semicircles and arcs and all this kind of stuff. Just let me import something, for the love of God.
I mean, that
although
invites
that way,
porn, though, no?
I know, but there's going to be, it's on there anyway, mate.
Where they did the news, I mean, it'll be a couple of weeks ago at this point when this comes out, but last week when we're recording, they had the announcement that all the made for Xbox Series XS games are going to be $70 moving forward, which I assume is £70 in the UK because they love to do that now. There hasn't really been a proper next generation, current generation Xbox title. It all seems to be stuff for Xbox One and Xbox Series X. So this marks like a proper platform game for that system. So it'd be good to see what they do with that.
But yes, so, and my final one of my games to watch is Diablo 4. Now, Diablo 3 had a rocky start, but very much kind of needled its way into many a gamer's hearts with its kind of seasonal content model, where actually there's no, once you bought the game, you bought the game, and the seasons are generally out there for everybody. You don't have to re-up a season pass or a battle pass or anything like that. And I don't quite know what to make of Diablo 4 yet, is I think there's some noises they're making about the game, like a bit more character customization, the way they've kind of completely overhauled how skill trees work, all that kind of stuff, I think is quite interesting. I think it's going to be good for the game. However, I do remain concerned with the way that Diablo Immortal turned out, and let's face it, the way that some of the slightly shady stuff with Overwatch 2 that's been going on, that could there be a pay-to-win model here? And already if you look at the various editions of the game you can buy, so I think the standard version doesn't come with season pass. So it's a bit unclear, Diablo's not really had season passes before, and I hope, bearing in mind how often seasons occur in Diablo, that isn't going to be kind of properly money gouging the audience who's bought the game in the first place. Because, this is a game that people already are going to have paid $60, $70 or 50, 60 quid for. And if they're expecting to kind of keep dinging them every month for that repeat income, I'm not sure how I feel about it.
It kind of depends, though, because you're happy to do that in certain cases, like Destiny is the biggest example I'm thinking of there. If they're supporting it and giving the content that is worthy of doing that, don't you think that's an okay business model these days?
I mean, I think it is just skepticism surrounding how money grabbing I think Blizzard have become, and I just
they've lost a lot
it's
of trust
gonna be...
in recent years, which is understandable.
And I think it's mostly that, and
be that on their own head.
Yeah, but I mean, it could be great, Diablo 4. I'm just perhaps approaching it with a great deal more caution than I was, say, 8 months ago after seeing, how Diablo Immortal panned out. I'm just worried it runs a risk of being a greedy cash grab, is my concern. There we go.
Am I remembering this right? This isn't going to be part of the Game Pass?
This is not going to be part of Game Pass.
Right, okay. And that's the same as Call of Duty. I think a lot of hey, we're Xbox, all our AAA all our first-party titles are going to be on Game Pass, and then they buy Activision Blizzard and go, except for them. They may be technically, but no.
Oh, the other thing I was actually going to say about come back to the season pass stuff is that there's 2 more premium editions of the game. One of them contains the season pass. The other one contains an accelerated season pass. So I think that's the thing that really made me worried.
That sounds so Ubisoft.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you can unlock the extra content, or you can unlock the extra content quicker for more money.
That basically
really
says to me, we've broken the
FOMO
economy of the whole
things.
game, so you can pay to fix it. And it's like, no thanks.
Yep.
I'll just not play the game.
This sounds to me, you remember when Diablo 3 came out and it was broken and you couldn't connect to it a lot of the time and a lot of the economy in game was broken. And then they took it away and reworked it and released it on consoles and it was so much better.
Yeah.
And then they released it on the next generation of consoles and that's when I went, yeah, I'll pick this up. I think I'll wait for that point.
Diablo 3 on consoles is great.
Oh yeah,
Actually, I might pick that up again over Christmas,
Yeah, I didn't play it on PS4.
The one thing I would say about
Diablo
4 and looking forward to it is I'd really like to play it with you two.
Looking forward to it. Very good, Tim.
Forward. No, but I'd really like to play it with you two. But the difficulty there is if we all pick it up at different times and possibly on different platforms, with you guys possibly picking it up on PC, that makes it less and less likely
PlayStation.
that will actually gel together well and actually happen. So that makes me less likely to play the game.
All depends.
So-
I think it depends if the Microsoft deal goes through, because then it will be the back end of it will probably be run through Xbox's servers.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's one. It won't be a day one purchase for me. I'm going to wait till reviews and see how it generally performs out in the wild rather than pick it up straight away. If there's improvements to be made, then I know to wait. All right, I'm going to get on mine, which should be pretty quick to run through. The first one is WrestleQuest, which we've spoken about a couple of times. Smaller game to be on my ones to watch. It looks pretty damn good. It's a 2D kind of pixel arty type thing where you are running through a sort of RPG of trying to become a legend in wrestling by wrestling other legends, be those alive
Yeah,
or
boy.
dead in some cases. So you're going through and fighting Andre the Giant and Jacob the Snake, and the Legion of Doom, and all these other
Yay.
amazing wrestlers throughout the history. I'm really liking the look of it. I'm a sucker for pixel art, and this has a very cool style to it. Gives me, I've mentioned this before, which no one knows about, but there was an iPhone game of TNA Impact, which came out around about the same time as the 3GS, and I really got into that, and this gives me very big vibes of that game. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to how this shapes up. So I'll be picking that one
I'm
up.
looking forward to that one as well, I have to say.
Another one that I'm very much looking forward to. I got spoiled this year with Tales from the Borderland sequel to that coming out, which is my favorite game from Telltale Games, even though the sequel wasn't from Telltale Games. My second favorite Telltale game is A Wolf Among Us, and we are finally getting the long-awaited sequel to A Wolf Among Us 2, which I think was
The
in
delay
develop-
was deciding on a snappy name for the sequel.
Exactly. I think this was in the. I think they announced it just before Telltale went under, and then this happened to be one of those ones they picked up straight after the re-announcement, the reformation of Telltale with new staff. I say reformation. A lot of the people that are there were not originally part of Telltale Games. I love that first game. It's available on multiple platforms and has been ported to other platforms, so it is worth picking up if you've not tried it out before. Who do Fables belong to? I know it's overall it's DC, but I think I can't remember who owned them
Vertigo?
before DC. I think it might be Vertigo. But the idea is the world of make-believe, fairy tales and things. They've entered our world and they live in New York City. And there's a suburb where all the fairy tale characters live. Beauty and the Beast and Big Bad Wolf and all these different characters that you know from different fables and what have you. But they're kind of shrouded in magic and hidden away from us, and they can disguise themselves as humans. It was an excellent comic run that then got turned into a video game. It's an amazing video game. I'm really looking forward to the sequel and seeing how we go from there. In fact, I think I might replay the first game to get ready for the sequel. And the other one, which is one I'm very, very excited for. One of my previous games of the year was Fallen Order, Star Wars Fallen Order, Jedi Fallen Order, sorry. And the sequel to that, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, that was announced earlier in the year. There was a leak just before the Game Awards where EA accidentally put the details up on Steam before taking them down again.
Oh.
Yeah.
No full-time job for you, intern.
The big showcase at the Game Awards, we finally got the gameplay, and it is looking good.
Looks
noticeable
fantastic,
there.
yeah.
There's not just lightsabers, but there's also blaster combat in there, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that all plays out. I think it was suggested to us on our Discord that you could be trying to blend in, show off that you're a Jedi because you're meant to be in hiding, and that's when you use your blaster and then use your lightsaber for actually fighting as a Jedi. I'm hoping there's some form of dual wielding in there, wielding.
It looked like there was another character that may be a roguey type character. I don't know whether it's co-op or alternating characters or what's going on with that. But
Well, that's out pretty soon. Is it May or March? It's one of those. But yeah, it's
one
out
of
this year.
those.
It's out pretty soon.
March,
I'm
I think.
very much looking forward to this. I need to replay Fallen Order again for the third time.
I love the first one, but I'm hoping there's less platforming in the Wookiee planet stuff, like a bit less of that and a bit more of the actual combat and general enjoyment of the game. No more sliding down hills.
Do you mean the
for
Wookiee
things.
planet of Kashyyyk?
That's the one I was looking for. I wasn't so keen on that planet. Climbing the big tree was bigly boring. Overly platforming and the sliding down the stuff I didn't like, but the rest of the game I thought was fantastic. I'm also very much looking forward to the next one as well, so yeah.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, boy.
Have you seen his scars got deeper as well, though, between the first and the second game? His scars have got... The scars that he had before were in the same place, but just deeper scars than they were, which, hey, I guess that's as a
he keeps
result of
picking at it.
graphical fidelity. Maybe he's
Leave it
picking at
alone.
it. Maybe that's what it is.
Leave it alone.
Mum always
for
said,
my three...
Don't pick at it won't get better.
For my three, I also...
Also, you'll go blind doing that.
As much as I took the mickey out of Dan for changing up how he approached his games, I have taken a slightly different approach with my ones as well. Partly because some of the ones I'm most looking forward to, you guys stole off me in Forspoken and Star Wars Jedi Survivor. They're two games that I'm really much looking forward to. But the other one that I'm really looking forward to that kind of gels with those two is Street Fighter 6. I think that's going to be a very good game.
Yeah.
I very much like what they're showing off about it. I think that is going to be really good fun.
DJ.
From the little bit that Coleman and I got to play at EGX, I really enjoyed that, and I can see that getting better. I've seen people being a bit critical of the graphical style, especially in comparison to Tekken. I was seeing comments, I think, on the IGN feed and stuff like that. But I don't mind what Tekken is doing graphically, but I just find Street Fighter 6 much more interesting from a graphical standpoint and everything else. I like my Tekken games, but I'm really looking forward to Street Fighter 6, especially having not got into Street Fighter 5 as much because I didn't like their business model. I'm still a bit wary of their business model going into this, but I think they're giving me, as a single-player predominantly a single-player Street Fighter, I think they are giving me a lot more content to play with. And so I am much more happy to purchase this on day one. And then I think that's more likely to string me along to play more of the multiplayer as well. So very much looking forward to that. The other two picks on my list are a bit more games to look out for. And partly to just sing their praises a bit because they're ones I've been keeping an eye on for a number of years now. And I want to highlight to our listeners because I think they may be of interest to them. Now, one of them has come slightly more into the mix anyway, because I think they showed it off showed off some videos stuff lately. I can't remember when the last stuff was, but I think they showed some stuff off at the Game Awards as well. But that is Atomic Heart. Now, this was originally came to my attention because it was brought up as a VR game. They've kind of backed away from that. I don't think this is going to have any VR content going forward.
Very sensible.
But it does look
VR's
really
dead.
interesting. Like, it's a slightly different alternate universe set in Russia, or set in a Russian setting. I'm not sure it's necessarily Russia itself, but it very much reminds me, and it's weird that we're getting a few games that kind of sit in this sort of category as well, in a Bioshock-esque game. It very much reminds me of that in terms of you're in a slightly alternate version of history. There's a slightly weird environment going on, and there's slightly weird enemies attacking you, and you've got powers and fun guns to deal with that, basically. So for anyone that hasn't heard of it, Atomic Heart, I think, is going to be a really interesting game. It's coming to Game Pass in the early part of last year. I think, again, in the very busy March
Early
period.
part of last year?
Next year, sorry. There was a lot of games coming out in February and March of 2023. It's going to be a very busy time, but I think this is one to keep an eye on. I'm really pleased that it's coming to Game Pass because I was planning on picking it up anyway, so this is possibly going to save me some money, but I'm really curious to see how this game works out. It's been in development for a number of years now, but I'm thinking it's shaping up to be something special from what I've seen coming together, basically. So one I'm very much interested in. Along those lines, another game, and this one might be something that even less people have heard of. It's one I've been keeping an eye on because I follow the dev on Twitter. Was announced as a VR game, is definitely a VR title. And I think is going to really pop and really work well with VR.
Won't catch on.
It's a game called Lo-Fi, as in LOW-FI. And it is a...
Oh yeah, Lo-Fi beats the study too.
Very much taking a direct influence from Blade Runner and you are a bounty hunter set in a Blade Runner-esque world where it's kind of all neon, a bit of a kind of heavily Chinese or Japanese influenced culture that has kind of merged a few different, American and Asian cultures, and is also kind of, it's got the flying cars type thing that I think will work very well in VR. It's got the heavy neon stuff, which I think will pop very well in VR. And it's one of the things I'm very much glad that they've announced that it's got PSVR 2 support. And it's one that I'm very much looking forward to playing. And I think they've already confirmed that it's not going to be a launch title for PSVR 2, but it's one that I'm very much picking up the headset with that in mind to play, basically. And so, even though, it might not be there for launch, it's one that I'm really looking forward to playing in VR next year. And a game that I just like to highlight to other people because I think it looks good. I don't think you have to be playing it in VR, and I think it might, work well for people that aren't interested in VR, but I think it's going to work really, really well for VR, and I'm really looking forward to it. So, yeah.
Look at you and your hipster choices, Tim.
Yeah.
Speaking of PSVR 2, I've still got Tim's credit card details. I'll be putting them on the
Sweet.
on the screen at the end of the show.
Excellent.
Stay tuned.
Do that thing that people do with codes and just take a few of the numbers out and people just got to replace them, yeah?
Sorry, just to give quick mention to this, because we were doing the whole thing of you trying to get your pre-order in and link and all that kind of stuff. The email I got, which said, hey, you got to pre-order before this date. I got a follow-up email like a week or two ago, and it basically says along the lines of, hey, we said you can have a pre-order up until this date. We're going to extend that, and you can pre-order right up till February. I don't think they sold as many as they thought they were going to.
Possibly not. I think it's going to be a real hard sell for them at the moment to push a
because it's
a high price headset
and
in a time when people are suffering
in a period where people are still trying to buy the console itself as well.
Yes, as well. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm stupid. I like my VR stuff.
Yes.
But also,
No
I think...
Yes. 2 for 2 so far, Tim.
I don't know if I would be quite as keen to pick it up on launch if it wasn't for the fact that we have this show, and it means that, A, I can talk about it on the show and it gives us content that people may not have everywhere. But B, also, I mean, it does mean that, laying my cards on the table on this one, that I will get review copies of stuff because I'll be one of the few people with a headset. That does play into my thinking as well a little bit.
Is it
It's
being upgraded into an investment?
It's an investment.
You see?
Tim,
this is how to sell it to my girlfriend. See, this is okay.
Still tenuous at best, Tim, but all right, we'll let you have it. If for nothing else than just kind of harmony between you and your missus. That's fine. It's an investment, yes.
You like the guy I know who spends so much money on Lego and then reviews Lego because the idea is maybe one day Lego will send him Lego. It's all right, he doesn't listen to the show. Doesn't know I'm making fun of him today.
Right. I think we should probably, call out a day. That's what we're looking. I'm sure there's more that we're going to be watching over 2023, but yeah, I mean, that's our kind of, I think that the ones we're most interested to see how things turn out for. So, yeah.
Speaking of things to watch and
last
VR
show of
headsets,
2022, boys.
I don't know if you guys have watched The Peripheral on Amazon Prime, but that is a very good TV show.
I got really bored.
VR headsets.
I heard it was arse water.
I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. It's
I
very
got half an episode
very
in.
dense in terms of like there's a lot going on and there's a lot to concentrate on, and it's very heavily written and there's characters that expose a lot, do a lot of exposition. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. And it's based in future London, so there's a lot to like there.
What?
Face is based in your future London.
It is.
Hey, let's go.
Let's do that. So thank you for listening to us. This is probably the last time you're going to hear us in 2022 because the new year is but days around the corner at the time this show's released. So we hope you have a very happy and a very safe new year. And we look forward to seeing you on the flip side. So,
can I have an unsafe new year as well? That's okay.
Right, no, don't get into the back of strange cars with men offering you sweets.
Some of my favourite
Unless
New
they
Year's
have
ever
really
have been
cool sweets.
quite unsafe. So there you go.
Okay, we're probably not making this better, guys. Let's.
What if they got sherbet
No.
dibdabs?
No. What? Okay, first
I
of all,
mean-
make sure. Just be very careful what you're putting in the sherbet dib dab. All right.
What if they got lemon bonbons?
Ooh.
Yeah, it's got you now.
Yeah.
Get in the back of that
Uh-huh.
Escalade, mate.
Let's do it.
Get in the back
Happy New
of that
Year.
transit
We're
van.
going now. Coleman. Stop heavy breathing.
What if they've got camel balls?
Camel balls.
Camel balls. Oh, I love camel ball.
Oh, do anything for a camel ball.
Get in the back of my white transit van.
Okay.
that someone's written "wash me" with their finger in the dirt.
Lovely. Right, we're going. Thank you so much for listening. Please remember that I have been Dan.
I might have been Tim.
There we go.
Kidnapping people with sweets is the biggest form of chaos there is.
The creepiest chaos.
Jesus. All right. Well, if we're allowed back next year, we'll speak to you then. But until next time, dear listeners, toodle bye.
You and your ears are quite welcome for the podcasting goodness that you just heard. Why not roll on over to BigRedBarrel.com for more podcasts, news, reviews, and videos from the biggest, reddest site on the internet, BigRedBarrel.com.
Still might play more of it. The one game I haven't played yet so far this year that may have made it onto my games of the year list.
Right, Dan, let's talk about the games of the year. Let's talk about our picks of the games of the year and
Let's do
stop
that.
Tim talking.